Health Canada has buried explosive questions about the DNA blueprint of the COVID modified RNA shots, proving safe and effective was marketing all along.
Every single vaccine available in Canada has been approved by Health Canada.
Anyone who questioned anything related to the government's handling of COVID, any level of government, got smeared, bullied, and cancelled.
Conservative MP Ted Falk asked who made the plasmid DNA, who cut it open and checked for purity, were any facilities inspected, did they test for residual DNA and the SV40 promoter? Health Canada's answer? Complete evasion. Just trust us, we authorized it. Canadians paid $9 billion last year for this federal department, and they outsource your safety to Pfizer and Moderna. Let's dig in. For years, I've been following Health Canada's handling of these modified RNA COVID-19 shots. As I've shown multiple times before, safe and effective is just a marketing mantra. And today we have fresh proof that when it comes to real accountability on the manufacturing process, especially the plasmid DNA template that's the very starting material for these shots, Health Canada doesn't just dodge questions around it, they refuse outright to answer anything at all. An order paper question, which is an official parliamentary request, was filed with very specific, very technical questions, essentially asking Health Canada to detail the entire chain of how the DNA starting material for the modified RNA COVID vaccines was made, tested, regulated, and monitored, from the earliest manufacturing stage through to any potential quality problems after release. Conservative MP Ted Falk asks who made the DNA starting material, including which facilities and companies were responsible for manufacturing the plasmid DNA template, that's the DNA blueprint used to produce the COVID vaccine mRNA, including who cut and prepared that DNA through a process called linearization, where the circular plasmid DNA is cut into a linear form so it can be used as the template for mRNA production, and who performed quality control testing. Did Health Canada ever inspect those facilities? And if inspections happened, which facilities were inspected when, by whom, and for what purpose? If inspections did not happen, then why not? If you'd like to see more reports on this file and support this kind of journalism, please do so at nomoreshots.ca. That's nomoreshots.ca. What quality control oversight was done either directly by Health Canada or through information shared by foreign regulators regarding the DNA template itself, the original plasmid source, and any outsourced manufacturing? Were any manufacturing concerns or unresolved issues found by Health Canada, such as deficiencies, unanswered questions, or qualification problems related to the plasmid DNA manufacturing process? And if so, how were those issues resolved? The request goes on to question if Pfizer and Moderna followed international standards and complied with international biotechnology and gene therapy standards, including International Council for Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Pharmaceuticals for Human Use, called ICH guidelines, and United States Pharmacopoeia USP standards related to residual DNA testing, genetic construct characterization, and viral safety controls. If those standards were not required, this query asks why. Were any manufacturing materials shared across companies or countries? Did Health Canada know of any shared or outsourced master plasmid cell bank arrangements, essentially centralized DNA source stocks used across multiple companies, facilities, or jurisdictions by Pfizer, Moderna, or related entities? Lastly, were there any problems with inadequate DNA processing, such as incomplete linearization, meaning cases where circular plasmid DNA may not have been fully processed into the correct form during manufacturing? And does Health Canada have any deviation reports, corrective action plans, lot investigations, product complaints, or safety escalations connected to those issues in Pfizer or Moderna vaccine batches specifically? In plain language, the overall direction of the request is to determine who controlled the DNA manufacturing process, how closely Health Canada oversaw it, and whether international quality standards were applied, whether regulators identified or investigated any manufacturing irregularities involving residual or improperly processed DNA. Those are straightforward questions about the foundational building blocks of these novel products that I've explored before with experts like Kevin McKernan, Maria Gucci, and David Speaker. But the answers from Health Canada, they amount to little more than bureaucratic stonewalling, as though they've done their regulatory due diligence. Health Canada largely sidestepped the specifics on who actually manufactured and linearized the plasmid DNA templates, what inspections, if any, they conducted on manufacturing facilities, and whether they verified compliance with key ICH and USP standards for residual DNA, genetic construct characterization, and viral safety. They leaned heavily on reliance on foreign regulators and sponsor data from Pfizer and Moderna without detailing independent Canadian oversight of the foundational DNA starting material. Again, that very blueprint for these modified RNA products. What's the point of having a health agency with a mandate to regulate safety, efficacy, and quality of pharmaceuticals in Canada, overseeing their pre-market approval, clinical trials, and post-market surveillance under the banner of protecting public health, if on some of the most technically important manufacturing questions, it simply defers to foreign regulators and manufacturer-provided assurances? Why did Canadians pay nearly $9 billion for this agency last year if it just outsources its mandate with such critical responsibilities left in the hands of others? Look, all of this tracks with what I've uncovered through exclusive investigation into these novel shots. Do you remember when genomics expert Kevin McKernan first flagged concerns around these instability issues of these shots in 2022? I was there talking to him. Dr. David Speaker's follow-up work on Ontario pharmacy vials confirmed elevated DNA fragments, often larger than what regulators claim to be safe, including the SV40 elements, which were only found in Pfizer shots. Former regulatory specialist and pharmacist Maria Gucci has been relentless in dissecting the manufacturing inconsistencies, the switch from clean PCR mRNA in trials to plasmid-based production for mass rollout, and the downstream quality failures Health Canada appears to have accepted without robust scrutiny. Health Canada has known about these contamination signals for years, yet continued to authorize and endorse these products. They confirmed the undisclosed SV40 sequence presence when pressed about it, but downplayed and dismissed concerns about the risks posed. Dr. David Speaker, a virologist who was a team of independent scientists scrutinizing the contents of Pfizer and Moderna vaccine vials, explained to me in October of 2023 that the residual DNA and contaminants should have been purified out during manufacturing, but they weren't. And he says that Health Canada hasn't even considered the risk this poses to human health.
Also, double-stranded DNA is known to cause an unwanted immune response. You've got a foreign sequence there. It is unwanted. Even if we bombard a cell with a low, short DNA fragment size, it can cause severe effects and cellular integration, especially with SV40. It's a big risk, which I don't think Health Canada has even considered.
Yet in Health Canada's response to this parliamentary query signed off by MP Maggie Kai, they offered no transparent accounting of master cell banks, shared plasmid stocks, incomplete linearization deviations, or lot-specific investigations. Instead, we're handed the regulatory equivalent of, trust us, we checked, because apparently authorization itself is now being presented as proof that Health Canada did its due diligence. If a product has been authorized by Health Canada, it has been determined to be compliant with the relevant regulations, is the circular logic that they use. Not one single facility is named, not one inspection date or inspector was named, not a single word on whether they ever checked that linearization process or residual DNA removal. They don't even admit whether inspections were done at all or why they weren't. They don't confirm or deny compliance with those specific ICH and USP standards the question asks about. They don't say boo about deviation reports or incomplete linearization. And still, these aren't abstract technicalities. They're core to whether this novel modified RNA technology was produced under proper controls or rushed out with hidden impurities that could drive integration risks, inflammation as we've seen with myocarditis and the like, or worse. The experts I've interviewed repeatedly over the last few years have laid out the science. The parliamentary questions demanded the records. Once again, Health Canada's non-answers just add to the mountain of evidence that safe and effective was marketing, not medicine. And ongoing evasion keeps the narrative alive and well. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini.